Well, John, the fiery crash ended here just east of Flamingo in Koval. Right now, there's a tow truck that's getting ready to take away what we believe is the suspect vehicle. This storm just ripped through this sports complex, kind of like a tornado. There's debris all over the place. Some of it, we can't even tell exactly what it is because of this silver mining industry, which was a big part of our state's early history. But what's lesser known is that Nevada can mine for lithium too. This fire is spreading so quickly is because of all the spot fires that are popping up, like this one you see right here. It was a Sunday afternoon not far from the launch ramp here at Hemingway Harbor. As the lake levels drop, a decaying barrel emerged out of the water. In an industrial area of Henderson, near a grocery store and a sandwich shop, this unassuming warehouse behind me, it looks almost like a little river here, and every car that's driving through, as we're about to see here in just a second. Now, the hand count procedures can't resume until polls close on election night. But each robot's from a different team. At the World Championships, though, that other team could be from anywhere in the world. Flames that were encroaching behind homes like this one here on Lake Drive, which still stands today. But the home right next door, now completely destroyed. We don't know if this is going to wrap up the next few minutes or if this is something that could go on all night. And happy anniversary to you. We'll keep moving along over here. What's the energy been like out here so far? Could you imagine a pool party wearing that? Is that what he would still wear? John, I think maybe I could see you putting all of that gear on. Tim, thank you so much. And also, it's Chili Dog Day here too, right?
So it is, yeah, come on and get a chili dog.
Over 100 miles long, and at its depths more than 1,000 feet deep, Lake Mead leaves decades of secrets below its surface.
Legit corpse in the barrel, just washed up.
And one of the most disturbing earlier this month.
You hear stories, but you never, you don't expect to see that on a day at the lake.
It was a Sunday afternoon not far from the launch ramp here at Hemingway Harbor. As the lake levels drop, a decaying barrel emerged out of the water. Inside it, human remains. One witness described to us still seeing the pants and a shirt on the person's body with a belt around their waist. But it's a discovery that never seemed possible before.
Had the water level not receded so far, we never make the discovery of this victim.
40 years ago, where this barrel sits was roughly 100 feet underwater and several hundred yards from shore. And investigators say they know exactly how the crime was committed.
Someone had to have a boat, and someone had to, put someone in the barrel and push them off the boat.
The Clark County coroner determined the man died by gunshot wound, and his shoes lead detectives to believe the murder took place in the late 70s or early 80s. And that is where the mystery begins.
It was a time where the mob was on the front page almost every day. I think it has the signature of a mob hit.
Las Vegas Mob Museum historian Jeff Schumacher says stuffing a murder victim's body in a barrel was a common tactic in the mob across the country. And there are even reminders of that inside the museum, including maybe the most famous case, the death of a mobster, Johnny Roselli.
In 1976, he went missing. Later, he was found. A barrel was bobbing in the bay outside of Miami, and his body was inside it.
Metro Lieutenant Ray Spencer told me his team will investigate whether the murder could have ties to organized crime if they're able to extract DNA from the remains.
If you notice, I'm saying if, because it will be a very challenging part of this investigation.
Right now, the bones are in the hands of the Clark County Coroner's Office.
Anytime you have remains that have been exposed to the elements, it makes it incredibly challenging to get an ID.
But a lab in Texas that specializes in advanced testing using genealogical data believes they have the resources to help.
I think we're extremely suited, and I think that we have proven before that we can work with such remains and be able to get an identification.
We've introduced you to Othram Labs before. With the funding of local philanthropist Justin Wu and his new nonprofit, the Vegas Justice League, Othram has helped Metro solve several cold cases, including Stephanie Isaacson's 1989 murder, which Othram says sets the world record for the smallest amount of perpetrator DNA recovered to make a match, just 0.12 nanograms.
That's the equivalent of about 15 human cells. If I touch my hand, I've left hundreds of cells, so that should tell you how little bit of DNA that was, and we were able to make a positive ID.
Kristen Middleman says they've solved multiple cases with remains found in bodies of water decades earlier. With the lowering lake levels, police believe that more bodies will be found. And less than 2 weeks after the body in the barrel discovery, north of Hemingway Harbor over at Colville Bay, another set of human remains was found. But police have determined there was no foul play involved in that death.
It's also possible that this isn't a mob case and that this person just kind of sort of a copycat on the mob motif, right? There are stories about serial killers who buried people in barrels. Barrels seem to figure very prominently in all kinds of different murders.
Authorities believe it will take months to potentially make an ID on the remains found in the barrel. But it's already sparked a new awareness for future discoveries. At Lake Mead, I'm Drew Andre, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas. It looked like a river on Rising Star Drive Wednesday night. Neighbors watched as water flooded yards and streets. Street sweepers cleaned up the mess from the storm Thursday morning, but the damage from the flooding can still be seen in a home and backyards like this with muddied pools that before looked pristine.
This whole part here was underwater last night.
Brandy Helms took us into her backyard. Their surveillance cameras captured the water seep towards their home.
The water on the other side, it was about this high.
The Whitney Ranch flood channel that backs up to these homes is undergoing changes, the city says, to improve and increase its capacity. But the construction at its current state wasn't prepared for less than a half inch of rain.
I didn't sleep last night because my concern was, what if it rains again, you know? Because it got so close to the back. We're fortunate a neighbor down the street had went through his house.
That's where the most damage can be found, in Jack Abell's backyard. The built-up rainwater slammed through and took out his brick wall. The water rushed towards his home several feet high and seeped into his house. He says this was a clear engineering failure authorized without the thought of monsoon runoff, and other neighbors agree.
We're getting shunned off like it wasn't that big of a deal. We all saw like this was going to be a problem, and the first time we get a decent rain, look what happens. It's heartbreaking.
This is the channel before construction. Helms said flooding was never a concern because it was so deep. Now homeowners are left picking up the pieces.
You can see here where the water's gotten through. I mean, we're going to have to put all new decking on here now.
What you're looking at right now is the same street that we saw last night that flooded. There's been a lot of heavy rain here within the last few minutes, but you can tell right now it's not flooded. I just got a text from that woman we spoke with. She said, fingers crossed that what was done today with the construction works again. Now, not surprisingly, because of where we live, these homeowners don't have flood insurance, but they did tell me today that they are planning on hiring an attorney. Reporting live in Henderson, I'm Drew Andre, Fox 5 News, local, Las Vegas.